Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Eclipse, and today we will be reviewing the top 5 things that noobs do in Clash Royale. So when I say noob, I'm just referring to those people in like arenas 1 and 2, and just referring to those people who are new to the game and people who are still learning the ropes. The definition of a noob, for those of you who are not aware, is just pretty much like people who are new to something and still like trying to get good at it or still trying to like learn the ropes. So in today's video, I figured I would just talk about things that all of us probably did at one point or another. So by the end of the video, if you did one or more of the things I mentioned, please feel free to give the video a like below, because everything in this video is so common and I see so many beginner players do it that I honestly bet every single person watching this video has done at least one or more of these things on this list. Also, one last disclaimer, this video isn't calling out anyone in particular or calling beginner players bad. It's pretty much just pointing out flaws that all of us did at one point or another. And one more thing I do have to say is this list isn't in any particular order, so something you hear first in this video might be just as like equal to something you hear at the very end of it. So now that we have all of this out of the way, let's get into today's top 5. Coming into the number 5 spot, you will always see lower level players using fireballs and arrows or any spell type cards on the enemy towers. They'll strictly use a fireball to chip away damage on a tower instead of using it to take out hordes and hordes of troops. Just look at this replay right here. He has a knight pushing, so you think he's gonna do some crazy push, but no, that's not the case at all. Instead, he chucks a goblin barrel across the entire playing field, then that hits, and then he sends a fireball in. What is he thinking? And a majority of the replays found in this video were just the first 3 battles at the top of Arena 1 Royale TV, and in every single replay I viewed, I found that one player from each replay did this. Like, people would just use arrows on a tower instead of taking out like a goblin barrel or skeleton army. People would use the fireballs to chip away damage instead of taking out hordes of troops. So I don't know at what point people realized that this is a bad idea, but even when I had school, I would just sit with other people who played Royale in some classes, and they would all do this, and I tried to tutor them and be like, dude, don't do that, but they still didn't listen. And I feel like no matter who you are, everyone does this when they first download the game. Heading on over to the number 4 spot, this is going to be using a lot of epics or expensive cards. So especially when you're in a lowered arena, you don't really understand the rarity of cards. You might think since a card is a common, it's pretty much worthless, and then you see a card like an epic and you're like, holy crap, it's an epic. So when a new player gets an epic, they just put every single epic they have into their deck, and some of them don't really complement each other that well. So in the replay right here, I just made a really stupid deck, like a really unrealistic deck. I'm pretty sure I have all epic cards from like arenas 1 and 2, and I tried to beat a clanmate. I ended up failing, but you guys pretty much get the point. In low arenas, lower level people will just use a whole bunch of epics or a whole bunch of expensive cards just because they think like, well, this troop costs more, this troop's a higher rarity, so therefore it's better. And as you all know, that is not the case. The number 3 spot is something that I honestly regret a lot, and this is upgrading every single card as soon as you can. And I bet there's still a few of you watching my video who do this, so if you fall into this category, do not upgrade cards you do not use. So as you can see, a lot of my upgrades are pretty expensive, like 8,000 gold just for an upgrade, so that will take me a bit of time to get. But just looking through my cards, there are a lot of cards I upgraded that I don't use. So I don't use like the witch, I don't use the skeleton army, I don't use the tombstone, the barbarian hut, Expo, Tesla, the mirror, the guards. I don't use any of these troops, yet I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of gold upgrading these. So if I would have just saved my gold, I could probably have some more gold right now to upgrade my goblins or spear goblins, for example. So that's just a little tip, and I feel like a lot of people still do this. So if you learn anything from this video, save your gold. Moving on over to the number 2 spot, this is going to be single troop pushes, or more so the fact that noobs do not know how to push. Most of the time you see a lot of people just putting like a prince down and that's it. And in this replay right here, the dude on the left just puts a prince down and the dude on the right just puts a giant down, and neither of the people bother to counter their troops. So basically they just put one troop down the push, and that's pretty much it. And honestly, a lot of people do this, and I've even seen some people put like troops in front of a giant. That really doesn't make sense. Like they'll put a witch in front of a giant. Now I don't have a replay of that, but my point being, a lot of people don't know how to build pushes, and the higher you get in trophies, the more you realize like, hey, I should probably deploy my troops in the back, or I should probably place 2 troops together. But when you watch low level replays, a lot of people do not do that. And heading on to the number 1 thing a noob does in Clash Royale, that is name themselves Eclipse. On a serious note though, the number 1 thing I found that noobs do, this is going to be leaving their elixir at 10 and not placing any troops down. So this right here, I'm pretty sure the guy on the top disconnected because the dude up top was actually a pretty good player. But Boot, Boot is this guy on the bottom, he's just chilling at 10 elixir and not doing anything, and this dude was just placing troops down a second ago, but now he's not even placing troops down. And then heading over to this next replay, both of these people are just chilling there and not placing any troops down at all. So I don't know if people like are afraid to place elixir, I don't know what's really going through their minds, and I'm pretty sure I did this when I was a noob as well. But it's pretty funny looking at all the mistakes that lower level people do that you realize like, hey, that's a pretty horrible idea. But that concludes my list for today's top 5. If you guys have any other top 5 suggestions, please feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. And remember, in the beginning of the video, I said that if you did 1 or more of these things in the video, please give the video a like. So now is your time to reflect. How many of these things did you guys actually do? Please let me know down in the comment section, because I can tell you I did every single thing on this list at one point or another. So guys, this has been Eclipse. I really do hope you enjoyed today's top 5 video. Remember, if you haven't already, please give it a like below, and peace out.